Welcome to the Facerocker podcast, number 73. This week, we talk cold-blooded murder. That's right, killing and blood, and no, not really. You'll see what I mean in a second when you listen to it. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. We have Mike and Cherish, two people who are not really seen on the podcast often. Cherish working on the film school. I'm not going to spoil any more of this fantastic suspense-filled podcast. We're going to get right into it. Welcome to yet another Facerocker podcast, joined today by Matt to my right.
Hello.
And two new people. Yeah, to my left.
Hey.
Mike and Cherish.
Hello.
Hello. Mike's been on this podcast once before.
That's right, that's what I was trying to think about, yeah.
Twice before.
Yeah,
before.
When you guys were busy on VGHS, I subbed one time at the last minute.
Oh, so you have been
here-
on since you were hired.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Then
did I
get
just ruin the
out.
premise?
Cherish, though, is brand new. Cherish,
Yeah,
brand new.
I'm brand new.
Brand new.
Working on the film school.
Ooh.
Yes, indeed.
What is your official title? What did we give
creative producer?
you? Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good title.
Yeah, it's tasty.
That's a nice title. We gotta get some business cards with that title.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. I
Get me out there, man.
And also, she is has a relationship with Will Campos.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Engaged.
Yes, I do. Look at it.
Woo!
Oh, embarrassed.
That's actually really sparkly.
That is.
It is quite.
This is a good
Sparkly.
light
It glints quite nicely under these harsh studio lights.
Will and his sister designed it.
Really?
What? Wait, back up. What?
Yeah, they designed the ring.
Where do you go to
Is there a
design
website for that?
No, there is a man in the.
Just one.
It's just one guy. I think his name is Daniel. Who is in the 3rd Street Farmers Market
Mhm.
in LA.
Ah.
And he designs rings.
So we'll draw it and then.
His sister did put it in AutoCAD or something
Uh-huh.
like that.
Oh,
it
that
was
was
crazy.
intense.
Yeah, no, it was a
Because in
process.
my head,
So
it's
what
like,
it will do?
yeah. In
Oh,
my head,
no. He
produ-
was doing it. We were talking about it in
Okay.
the writer's room. There was a lot of
God.
meetings and
'Cause
posts
it's-
and
wow.
in my head, it's him in his sketchbook being like, the R is backward, my ring. And then him sketching out all kinds of ideas.
In all caps, like children's
and
handwriting.
then one page is just like, he's drew Batman for a whole page. He just got distracted, apparently. And he's back into it the next page.
No, he was
Yeah.
busy coming up with more ideas for shows.
No, Will doesn't do anything half speed. He jumps in. He committed. It
He's
was
full
good.
throttle. Yeah. It was very nice. I was very surprised.
How do you pop the question? This is just becoming about your
Oh
engagement.
my
We
Oh, no.
ambushed you.
I'm just gonna get all blushy. We were just cooking dinner, and let's see if I can even tell this right. It was kind of it was kind of chaotic because we were cooking, things were running late, but it was okay. It was just like casual night in, and he had perfectly put everything. He had lit candles and everything. It was, I was like, this is an ordeal
A
for
fire hazard.
a normal dinner, and everything. He was just putting the plate down, and as he did, I knocked all this wine over everywhere,
Exactly as he
Part
planned.
of the plan.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
as he was ready to do it, and it was so funny because anyway, I was like, "Oh, that's crazy," and we were just cleaning up, and then as we were cleaning up, he was already on his knees and just
Oh.
popped the question.
He was
That's
like,
so
wait, hey,
romantic.
do you see what's on the floor here? And then he pulled it from the carpet.
I was like, someone might have lost this. We need to report it. We need to report this. No, yeah, it was very surprising.
I just realized all three of you have done this or have gone through this
Yep.
Yes.
process.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
How did you do it, Matt?
What?
How did you propose to you?
We were together for long enough that I essentially had a deadline to propose at that point. So I knew I couldn't do anything I had a shocker because I knew I couldn't if I went to a fancy dinner, it was approaching the deadline. So and it had to happen before
It was like
VJHS
tax
season 3.
season.
Yeah.
It was like April 13th. Anything that's coming out of your house around that
Yeah.
time is taxes.
It was like it had to be before season 3 started filming.
That's true.
Which I get from her perspective. It's like, if you're gone for 2 months and you haven't proposed to me at this point, I'm going.
We're done.
I'm out of here. So if I did some dinner or hey, let's just go up to
so
the
she
mountains
knew
or
it was-
something and be like,
she
oh,
knew.
okay, well, we'll just do it here then. Because clearly that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So
you could have tried to double bluff her.
so
Yeah.
instead,
Double bluff.
that's true. I could. Yeah, I just disappointed her. Actually, no. That was one of my first ideas, by the way. It was a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea. It was going to be to go to the mountain, do a romantic dinner, and do all this stuff, and not propose, and then fake fake a pop tire or like sliding off the road and be like, oh crap, like I gotta go fix the car and just make that as miserable a thing as possible. And then like
wait for hours.
Yeah, and then wait and like, oh, I gotta call AAA, and then like as I'm putting on the spare tire, be like,
by the way,
and then like propose.
Oh wow.
No,
And I pitched that to a few people. I was like, they're like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, but you would have to get like the tow truck guy who's
To have
secretly
it?
in on it.
Yeah.
Oh my
sit there
gosh.
and, like he starts singing
That's
or
too much.
something.
Yeah.
That's much
oh,
too
God.
much.
Exactly, it's too much.
Oh,
So
God.
It's really good that you
did
don't-
not do that.
Well, no, it's really good that you don't ask my opinion on these things
Oh,
because
okay.
I would have been like, see, the key here, Matt, is you can't fake a pop tire. You need to plant it.
Yeah, I know,
Add a highway interchange, and like I could maybe like hide in the bushes and throw a tire like call drops out, and you could drive over them, so you really do bust your
Well, the
tire.
plan would be like if I'm driving, especially if we were like doing some romantic dinner like up in like Mulholland or something, like Ashley would have been asleep in the car. Like the moment it gets dark, if she's in the car, she'll just fall asleep. So she's asleep, I can just shake the wheel and go, whoa! Terrify her, which is exactly what you want. So I went against that. Instead, I just woke up at 4:30, acted as quiet as possible, and I went and made
Which,
it.
by the way, knowing you was clomp, clomp.
Nope, she didn't wake up. She didn't wake up, which is very
Well,
difficult.
you guys,
Yeah.
she's been with you. She
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah, it took me
She's
30 minutes to get from the door just to not make any noise. Being the dinosaur I am. So I made super nice eggs Benedict and a bunch of other
Oh.
stuff, big fancy breakfast. And
She's just like, I'm full. This is
yeah,
too
no, I
much.
woke her up at like 6 o'clock, and she's like, "What? Like, why are you waking me up at 6 o'clock?" I'm like, "I made breakfast." She's like, "Oh, that's really nice." And then she turned around to get something. She's like, "Okay," and she's like, "I'm gonna pull a blanket over her." And when she turned back, I already had the ring out. And it was good. She was surprised.
It's very
So-
cinematic. I just imagine like a pan.
Yeah, that's what it was. Oh!
Did you express to her your problem in terms of surprising her? Like you're like, this is
Yeah,
why
we
I'm
talked
doing
about
this.
afterwards.
And
No,
what was her-
not during the moment. I was
No,
like,
no,
I'm doing this now because it's really hard.
No, I'm saying, but like, did
How
you talk about that?
romantic.
And was she like, yes, that's true, and I was expecting this, therefore you did in fact surprise
Yeah,
me.
I was. I mean, we were talking about afterwards. I was telling her that's. I was like, she's like, yeah, it was a good call. Like, I was not expecting it at that
Did you
moment.
pitch your other idea?
And what's funny is I did. It's like, yeah, it would have been a terrible idea. And then it got to a point where like I had it on Christmas, and I was going to do it like on Christmas, and then I was like, and this was more of a selfish thing. I was like, I don't want to deal with her family and my family.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't want to be talking about this on Christmas. Like, just make
It's
it
a
about
lot.
Christmas.
It's
Yeah,
a
I was like,
lot.
it's too much.
It's like,
too much.
why
to
would you
handle.
get in the way of the Lord's birthday with your petty mortal troubles? Right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just didn't want every like. It's like, hey, what? I didn't want every Christmas party. It's like the most maximum number of people that could talk about
Yeah.
your engagement at once, like after it happened.
That's such
And-
an antisocial
Yeah, I
impulse.
know, so I was like,
most
no.
people get engaged on Christmas, so that's
Yeah.
you just be one in a statistic.
The one thing I did do was I did
Just another line item on the docket.
I did act kind of like a dick for a week leading into it, just a bit to make it very clear that
Yeah.
it wasn't going to happen that week. Like I overplayed like how stressed I was and like I have no time for anything. And like the one time she brought up the deadline, I kind of responded in a shitty way. It's
Whoa.
like I know. Like it's like that's the thing I really wanted to because she was not expecting
It
it at all.
blows my mind how much of it, like, and I know this from
It
obviously.
backfires if you piss them off too much.
Well,
They just cheat on you and
I
leave
know
you.
this. I know this from being with you on VGHS, but it blows my mind sometimes how much of a master manipulator you are.
Well, that sounds delightful. Let's talk about that more.
Actually, that's so evil.
Well, not in an evil way, but
Yeah.
very clearly, like, yes, I purposefully was cross and slightly short in order to manage the expectations of an event that would not happen in 2 weeks' time. It just knows what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yep.
But I love that even the engagement is a negotiation. But, I mean,
Yeah.
but that's also something like when you've been with somebody for a very,
9
very long
years.
time. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm coming up on
9
11. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's like, it's just like you understand each other so well, and it's like they're all the pomp and circumstance.
It's
Yeah.
gone.
It's not that it's gone, but you know exactly how to create it and how
I
not
see,
to
I
create
see.
it.
Yeah.
You know your partner so well. You know what they're gonna really like and what they're not gonna like. So
Yeah.
it all ties into it. So.
What about you? What was your story?
It was a really nice one. We were
see.
going up.
Let's judge. Right about that. Yeah. We got this. Let's hear your story, Mike.
Okay, well, we were going up.
Custom design ring? Didn't think so.
We were going
Starts
up.
on an airship. Oh, shit.
Okay. No.
We went on a vacation up to San Francisco because we love going up to San Francisco. We try to do it every few years. We love that area, that whole thing. And it was like when we first started dating, we did a trip up the coast that kind of like really cemented everything. And
You do
it's
Big
just-
Sur?
Is this very? Oh yeah,
Hell
we
yeah.
totally
Nostalgia call back to wonderful time in your relationship.
Yes,
Perfect.
which we're not having anymore.
A desperate grasp at nostalgia.
And no, but it was what was great about it is she didn't expect it either because I was actually really so busy. I knew I was gonna do it. But I was actually so busy that I was kind of like, I need you to kind of just plan this trip. And I knew like just a couple things that I was going to make happen where like the whole thing would set up.
One was a tire was going to blow.
right. So she like planned most of the trip. She booked the hotels. And then I was like, okay, there's this one thing I want to do. I want to go to this really nice restaurant. It's called Meadowood. It's this like really highfalutin.
3 Michelin star.
Yeah. Oh, indeed.
Yeah. One of those pinky restaurants.
And I tried to keep the rest of the day casual, even though I knew what I wanted to have happen. So like we go up, we have a nice few days. We're in Monterey, then we actually go up to San Francisco proper. We're staying in a like nice hotel. We're doing the whole thing. And we get up early, have breakfast. We get some pancakes at the hotel. It's just like very easy. And I'm like, yeah, let's go hiking in Muir Woods for the day before because we knew we had the reservations that night. So we go up to Muir Woods. And like we're hiking and it's really lovely and just Muir Woods is beautiful and we're doing the whole thing, but there's so many people around and I'm just trying to like find a place to do it because I knew I wanted to do it in the woods because she loves nature.
And she said no, you could.
What? Yeah, I could.
Sorry, it's really dark.
What's really
careful, the fitting's a little loose.
What's
And we
Think
all
really carefully about your answer.
Okay, so we've established Matt as manipulative, and then okay, keep
and
talking.
capable of murder, or at least thinks about it.
Thinks about it a lot.
He thinks about backup plans. Matt's like,
Just in case.
this could go south at any moment. I need a day exit.
He has a backup plan for all of us in case any of us needs to go.
He's the Jason Bourne.
Sorry, I interrupted a really lovely moment.
Where's the shotgun man?
That's the best time to interrupt. But anyway, so we're going up. So I'm just like the hike is starting to go a little longer than I planned, just because I'm trying to find space where there's no.
There's like, hey, let's go up this loop. It's 14 miles. No,
And I'm one of those people who like obsessively like anticipates traffic and exactly how long things will take.
Right.
So I'm like, oh man, I really got to turn back. To go to this restaurant, and they are waiting for the answer too. And I was pretty sure.
The restaurant is.
Yeah, the restaurant is. So that's the other.
So as you're taking longer, like, oh shit, man. She said no. She's not coming back.
They might not be coming.
Did they have a backup cake?
Like just for you, like a single meal just for yourself? If she said no.
Reservation for 2, unless it goes poorly. Then just for 1.
Yeah,
with extra dessert.
We got Charlie Brown coming.
2 desserts.
But there was actually this wonderful little moment where I finally find this little path that goes off to the side.
Nice.
And we go up and it's just a few people. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I spot this little river with all these little rocks that have been placed up over time.
Here with this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I spot that. I'm like, perfect, because we can add the rocks after and some at the moment, and they'll always be there because that's what people have been doing in this little area. I'm like,
and there's like 8 other couples there when you ran over there.
No, but there is one couple walking down. This is the best part of the story, and I can't remember if I ever told you this. But they're coming down, and it's this older man. He has big glasses and like this a little bit of this longer hair, and I kind of think I recognize him. And he's with a woman who's younger than him, but still kind of like older. And they're coming down, and they're sitting there. And as I go close, because I'm waiting for these people to pass, so I can like take her and just be alone and have the space. And the person passing, I'm like, yep, that's William Friedkin.
Oh my gosh!
One of my favorite directors. I love French Connection and Sorcerer
It's a
so
sign.
much.
It's
I'm
a
like,
sign.
people will be like, "Oh, Exorcist, weird sign." I'm like, no, this is a good sign.
Yeah.
And as he's passing, the best part is I just hear him go. He goes, "Yeah, I liked that movie," and he's talking to the person, and then just keep going. I'm like, okay, this is a sign. So I just like go off, and we go over to this little like part of the brook, and we're just sitting there, and she's sitting there, and she gave me I was really nervous because I like sort of like having kind of like lines, sort of like not really, but she gave in this lead-in line, and she goes, "This is really special." She just goes just like that.
I'm
She
gonna
tossed
throw
it
up.
up. She tossed it. It was like
throw
it was
up.
like
I'm gonna lob
an
this over the
alley-oop.
plate.
It was an
Lob.
alley-oop. I'm ready to, and I just sit there. And I go, "Would you like to make it more special?" And I get down.
And she ran away.
I get down. I got just instantly tears, just like pouring down. And
did you cry?
A little.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually, like it was the same thing. The moment she saw the ring, it was just
It was a very expensive bottle of wine.
But it's really nice. And just like then we took pictures, we walked down, and then I'm like, okay, we really got to make this restaurant. and I also have to tell them.
You did the
Yeah.
classic cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. You had a wonderful weekend. That was just whereas me and Will just fumbled into it.
Well, no, like Will literally got the ring on a Friday, and then he proposed on a Saturday because Will is
bro, don't take
he cannot keep a secret. So it's like I'm pretty sure he just was like, I gotta do this, otherwise it's just gonna blow up or
Cherish,
something.
don't tell Cherish, but I got engagement
I'm
ring.
like, wait, what?
Oh, what shit?
He's just talking about, I was like, yeah, I did this custom ring. Ah, shit!
It's like, stop talking. No. But I actually heard characteristically that men are like kind of, because they're so nervous before they propose that
Piss
everyone's
themselves.
been really about that. And also they are in kind of like bad moods or something, or like really nervous before they do it.
Just part of the
There's a
trick.
I think they could get frustrated that things like aren't going to plan.
Yeah.
Like I was freaking out that the hike was taking too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so a couple things. One's hilarious is that if someone popped into this podcast late and just heard you describing like looking for a secluded place in the woods and being freaked out by all these people, it would sound like you were planning a murder, like straight up. Like, it
They
was like,
are very similar.
They're
That's the
Very
thing about it.
similar.
I mean, seclusion.
They're opposite ends of the
woods.
spectrum.
Exactly. But then the other,
You don't want her to know. You're trying to find the right tools. You got to prepare everything ahead
It's
of
like
time.
fascism and communism. They come the same thing.
This hike is taking too long.
Too many people.
Well, there was a guy online who did super nerdy thing, but he put a heart rate monitor on himself. Did you see this?
Nope.
He put a heart rate monitor on himself and then just recorded it during the entire like hour or so of process leading up to proposal,
That is really
to
nerdy.
moment of proposal, and then after proposal. It was really interesting because
And
you
then
see
after proposal?
yeah.
Like there's
Spiked
this
again.
weird sudden spike.
There's a spike. But what's interesting is like you see it just like it's like
30
waves.
seconds.
It's like
Yeah.
waves of nervousness
panic.
hitting him. And you see him like the heart rate spikes, and
Oh
then you
my
see
gosh.
like Mark's like, this is the moment of the proposal, and you're just like, oh, and then afterwards it's like, oh thank God, it just drops. The heart rate just is like
Oh, I felt so at ease after. Like
Yeah.
it was just, and we did a nice little drive. We called our families.
Yeah.
We went
Yeah.
to the restaurant. Everything worked out great. It was
Yeah.
just-
Bluetooth speakers, it worked, everything. Yeah.
When do we hear
Crazy.
your story, Freddie? When's that going to happen?
Probably not for a while, Matt. According, based on your timeline, sometime in the next 10 years.
You don't need to follow my timeline.
Very few people follow your timeline,
Yeah.
Matt.
You can go faster than that.
Well, you guys are both pretty long term here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
high ratio here.
Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Ah,
It's been
Okay.
too long.
all right. What
Yeah.
else?
What are we talking about now?
Well,
that was a lot of
we can
nice
talk about
a
engagement
lot of
stories.
nice engagement stories.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
We can
Let's
totally-
end on a good note.
We
Yeah.
can totally go in another way, though.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
all the teenage boys listening to this
Yeah.
podcast are really on the edge of their seats at this
Hey,
point.
you know what?
Hey,
it's gonna come. It's gonna matter to
we
you
could
guys
talk
soon.
about how Matt might be a psychopath.
What? How do you know?
How do you know?
Who told you?
because you answered that
Have you
question
been
like
talking to
that.
Well, duh.
So real quick, so South by Southwest happened
Yes.
just this last
Mhm.
week, and I heard that they screened Furious 7
Yeah,
at it.
Oh.
How did it do?
it's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it's like a nice, solid little thing, and they handle.
How'd they handle the death of?
Well, I don't want it spoiled.
I heard the digital imaging was pretty good, actually.
Oh,
Or
really? Is
the-
it digital?
Yeah.
Like,
But I hear
did
the
you-
story
yeah, there's
itself
like
is, like, good.
digital clones of
Yeah.
him and stuff.
But
yeah.
also, his brothers got involved in the filming.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
Supposed to be good action. Like Juan does a good
Yeah,
job coming
it-
into it.
And
Okay, so with the advancements of CG and everything, do you think that we'll one day have? And I know Matt, you and I have talked a little bit about this, but do you think we'll one day have like another Bruce Lee movie?
I mean, I think it'll happen. I don't think it's going to be a regular thing. I know we're talking about this. It's like at some point it'll be a gimmick. Somebody will do it. They've done it with commercials. It's gonna, but I'm supposed to it'll happen, and then nobody will want to do it again.
It just seems like it's
Ah,
not
yeah.
necessary.
Like-
I mean, like
There's other new people coming
yeah,
out.
and there will be. I mean, it's like, are we so? I mean, I love Bruce Lee, but
Yeah.
I mean, are we so attached to the?
Because here's what I think.
Bruce Lee
Here's
to
what
do
would
that?
happen. I feel like it's going to be the intersection of a famous person, the technology being there, and that famous person dying in the middle of a movie for them to be like, oh crap, we have another quarter of this movie with this famous person.
I think that will happen.
Yeah.
My thing's always been It's not that I disbelieve that technology will be there to have people be photorealistic. My point is, even if the technology is photorealistic, it will take more people to create a performance as opposed to just a single person making a performance.
Yeah, it's less cost effective.
There are 20 people who make a single performance off of a fake looking thing in a Pixar movie.
Right.
So you got photoreal, but you're either going to be mocapping an actor, in which case just use the actor. And even when you mocap the actor, you're going to be doing touches up. You're going to be having then all the rendering. You're going to have like 20 people to create a performance, no matter how good the technology is, as opposed to it'll never get less than one.
Also,
There'll be 0 people creating a performance in a computer.
That's where trained dogs come.
Well, that's when we're all just dead. And
I would also say this, and we've talked about this before, even when we talked about like, a computer that makes music and other kinds of things. It's like people like the human connection part of that.
Yeah,
I think that's very important. And like, if they like an actor or something like that, that it's part of that connection that I think is important to them. So it's seeing that and it's anything else is sort of you're treating a video game character. It's a character. It's like an animated character that you're getting attached.
Yeah, and I can see it for like a biopic, but again, even then, it's like I feel like somebody would rather they would connect to an actor who doesn't quite look like that person more than they would connect to a digital thing that looks.
Well, it also has to do with the uncanny valley too. It's a reason like cartoon characters.
But this is assuming that it's perfect, right? Which we're not that far away from essentially being able to create a human face that looks more or less perfect.
I think that situation, I mean, more or less, that's what happened with Paul Walker, and that could very well happen in the future. I think that I definitely don't think that's far away, but to use it'd
be for very specific purposes.
Exactly.
So recently, I think New York Times put out an article which was basically it was computer aided writing, and they basically put up a quiz for whether or not it was a section from a poem or a work or whatever, and it was whether or not it was a human written or computer written. And I'm gonna pull up this test here real quick. I want to see what you guys think.
To me, that's not okay. Yeah, I mean, I want to say, but to me, that's not overly interesting because you could just have a bad human writer. It'd be more like have multiple poems and then see which poems you're more emotionally affected by. Right. And then compare them to whether a robot wrote them or a person wrote them.
Yeah, it'd
like be very easy to be like, I could not tell.
Versus what do you connect to?
Yeah, I can almost guarantee there's no way I could tell the difference between something that was written by, and it says AI aided.
Yeah, it could just be a bunch of shitty poems. You ever think about? Yeah, exactly.
Well, like how long are these segments too? Is I feel like it'd be pretty easy to write like 5 sentences that might sound.
They're
like Wikipedia sounds like it's written by a robot. Like most encyclopedias sound like they're written by robots. Like they're just like, here's a simple syntax and it says this thing, and then the next sentence will relate to that thing.
I do like tests though, so
I'm taking it.
Yeah,
let's see it.
Yeah, it actually it's funny because a lot of these you could argue just be like, well, this is just crappy. It could just be crappy poetry.
Right.
But in terms of passing the Turing test, it is poetry that.
But the Turing test is a conversation.
I mean, in the sense that it's a work presented and it was indistinguishable from something that a human being had written, and people were fooled by that. That was sort of
again, that's like so not.
I guess it's like the phrasing of the questions too. Like, what are you looking for, and is it just being able to tell if something's written by AI or humans?
Like get like a 4th grader's like essay, and I'll think it was written by a robot. I'll be like, those words don't go together.
Right, exactly.
Or I'll probably think
that
it's a 4th grader.
person's R is backwards.
That robot's stupid.
No.
Anyway, we'll talk about computers as the great creators of art in our civilization right after.
We already at 30 minutes?
Find this. Yeah, we're at 30 minutes. I gotta find.
That's like That's like 30 minutes of engagement talk.
Sorry, teenagers.
Yeah.
All right, don't worry, guys. We'll talk about video games and shit afterwards.
Explosions and guns and beer.
Yeah.
Be right back
with beer.
All right, and we're back. And okay, it turns out that
spoiler jinx.
It's all computers. Actually, this entire podcast is computer voices synthesized. Freddie's sleeping right now.
Hello.
Anyway, no, we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna talk really quick about Netflix shows, very specifically, Kimmy Schmidt.
I just want to talk about Kimmy Schmidt. Well, we could talk about Kimmy Schmidt and Last Man Standing. They're weirdly
the Last Man
on Earth.
Yes. That's what I meant.
Matthew, you must leave the
We were looking
now.
at
You're thinking of the Bruce Willis movie?
The Bruce Willis movie and this Netflix show. These two things are
and
very
The Last
similar.
Stand, because we were looking at some car stunts in The Last Stand by the man who did those car stunts for an upcoming short.
We're just
dun, 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 dun. We're going to flip some cool stuff.
What do you think about Kimmy Schmidt, Matt?
Huh?
What do you think about Kimmy Schmidt?
I like it. Fantastic. Next question. It's really good. That and Last Man on Earth are both, they take this incredibly dark premise and play them strictly for comedy in a really real and fun way that still hits the correct dramatic and emotional beats. I'm really enjoying them.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's interesting how both of them kind of they hint at really weird dark stuff, but don't really just kind of play effervescently on top of it.
Well, their
you know?
title characters have both experienced like the most horrific
Incredible
thing.
trauma.
Yeah. Everybody on Earth dying or being trapped in a bunker for 15 years by a cult leader.
Yeah. You know what I think about? I don't know if I'm going to spoil the show or not. No, I'm not. But in Kimmy Schmidt, there's like in one of the earlier episodes, she's like, anytime she is like doing something she doesn't want to do, she just counts to 10.
Yeah.
She's like, you can do anything for 10 seconds. And it's like, what? And it's her like in the bunker, like pushing this wheel that does nothing for like 10 seconds.
The mystery crank.
The mystery crank. And it's just like, it's super dark.
Yeah.
But now like I think about that when I'm like exercising, I was like, I can do this for 10 seconds. Like,
You're getting your life lessons.
It is. I am. Thank you, TFA and Robert Carlo.
What's great they
Because-
present it when they first do it is because she has to hold the hand of the rich woman she's like the maid assistant of now.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to do it. And she's like, just cuddle with me. I need human contact.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there, she's holding her hand, she's like, 10, 9, 8. And that's what she's using it for. And then she tells her, it's like, you know what? You can do anything you want for 10 seconds when she's like, doesn't want to drink tap water. It sounds really dumb.
Yeah.
And then it flashes back to why she learned that and is cranking a mystery crank in a dungeon.
Yeah,
It's like what she learned. Because she, the real thing is Ellie Kemper is incredible. Like, I always liked her on The Office and everything else I saw her in, but like, not to the degree where I was like, she's amazing. I would want to put her in something. She's like, she was fine.
One
She's-
day there was going to be that role. That
Exactly.
just-
She's
perfect
amazing in
Yeah.
it. Like nobody else could do the role, and it's probably my favorite comedic performance like this year. She's
Well, it's
incredible.
potentially grating. Like you could
Yeah.
really, really, really hate that character so easily, and then she's just delightful.
Yeah,
you know?
and she has to play somebody who is just, you have to buy that she would be optimistic and trying to like fix her life, but there's still this like trauma underneath it.
Yeah, exactly.
And a perfect example is just this like what she does with her face. She can just contort her face and express so much. So when they do the sequence of her doing the mystery crank, it starts like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. And it's just like she just gets frustrated when she gets to 8, 9, or 10, and it's just like back to like, okay, it's starting over. It's fine now. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's just really great, and I really like Titus Burgess in it.
He's a
plays
treasure.
Titus, yeah.
And
Could so easily be like
Similar thing.
stereotypical, like whatever, super
Broadway.
well,
annoying.
it's a flamboyant gay black man
Yeah.
who loves Broadway. It's
Yeah,
like you hear that, you're
Broadway
like,
wannabe. Yeah.
But because he's not like the side character and just like the joke, he is the second co-star, and their relationship makes sense. And then he just has so much like depth and comedic chops. It's just. He's a great character, and it's one of those things where Netflix kind of does a show, and you know FX obviously with Last Man on Earth as well. But it's one of those shows that you could tell like that just would never show up on a network. It's the concept is too weird and dark and messed up.
But it's weird because it feels like I'm curious what the process was for the history of it.
Yeah.
You know? Just because it feels like a show that you're like, I could see this kind of working, minus it being a little bit weird. But I'm so curious what the history of that and how they got that going. Anyway, it's a very funny show.
Mike hasn't seen it.
Isn't
You
Last
should
Man
watch
on
it.
Earth Fox?
I really want to.
FX. Yep. You
Is
should
it
No,
watch
it's
it.
Fox.
Yeah,
Fox,
it's
Fox,
Fox
It's-
proper.
It is.
No, it's
Yeah.
on FX.
No,
No,
it's
no,
on
no.
Fox
Fox.
proper.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fox. That kind
Wow.
of budget? Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Is it a big budget? It looked like it was really designed to be low budget,
Well, it's still big enough.
but
There's-
big enough budget.
It's incredible because they
Yeah.
posted some of the outtakes from it, and it's like they're clearly shooting, very specific angles.
Yeah.
There's a scene definitely where it's like they pause and they're like, oh hey, and it's just like a person walks across frame because they're just like waiting for someone to like exit the actual store.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
shooting in front. Like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
how's it going? And it's like the show is so well like framed that you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm convinced there's nothing else. There's no one else in this entire universe.
Yeah.
That like the outtake of them just like waving at a passerby with their baby is just like, whoa, what is this? But it makes it easy. It was funny because they do this thing where it's like post-apocalypse, and you immediately think, okay, post-apocalypse is gonna be expensive. You gotta do ruins. You gotta do cars scattered all over the road, Walking Dead style. But then it's like, no, I guess everyone died really fast, so everything's just there, and they don't have
just make it
stuff's
empty.
not burning, and they can just go, and stores are still stocked. That's how fast everyone died. You're just like, okay, all right, that's fine. You just make it. It's the cheaper to depict post-apocalypse.
Have you watched it yet?
I haven't seen it.
No,
Mike?
no, I
Oh
haven't.
my God, so
Well,
we're talking about
I
everything.
love Lord of Miller.
Yeah, it's a similar thing where it's again, I mean, Will Forte's been incredible in a lot of stuff, so it's not quite the Ellie Kemper situation, but it's still, it feels like the role. It's again the same thing where it feels like the role
They were born to play.
that like to really be like, look, his comedic chops are impeccable. Like this guy's incredible.
I know Christian Shaw also shows up, right?
Yeah, and she is really good.
She's
She is
fantastic.
she is breaking
Yep.
out, man.
And it's perfect because she is so good at just motor mouth, just blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Forte is just so impeccable at reacting, and they just create this perfect duo where he can just be reacting to her insanity and then just say the perfect one-liner, and it's a perfect comedy duo. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
And Christian Shaw's voice on Gravity Falls, and Gravity Falls, by the way, has gotten insane.
I know. I need to watch that.
They've
as well.
hit the mid-season break on this. Now, here's what's interesting. I don't know if this has ever happened in. It must have
The universe.
but. Well, you guys would probably know because you know better than I do. But there was like a fan theory that was going around and slowly gaining traction, and they interviewed the creator, Alex. I don't remember his last name, but he was basically like, "Yeah, fan theory is 100% true. Like they called it immediately, and they're like, shit, we have to push the timeline up. They shifted their writing around because they're like, everyone knows the twist. Crap. Okay, well, it happens earlier now." And it was like this thing where everyone was
Wow.
like, where people were like, it was especially on the subreddit, where everyone was just like, is this the thing? Like, look, and they just like started pointing and piecing it all together, and they're just like, yeah, wow, they pieced it together. It goes to show, it's like you can't put anything in a TV show and not have it get pieced together because of the time, especially if here's what I think is if it's a weekly show and it has any sort of mysterious component to it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're
There's gonna be a
destined,
subreddit, and
well,
people
you're
are gonna be
destined to
investigating
fail.
it.
You're destined to fail to surprise anyone with it because either they guess it and everyone who's in on that conversation is like, oh, well, we guessed it, and they're disappointed by it. It's like almost like the Sherlock thing, right? In between the two seasons, right? Or
Well, their approach was just to say "f you" to the
right,
fans.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or the other
Just
thing
be
that you
bad.
do is they have to be like, okay, and here's the one key piece of information that you haven't gotten yet. And here it is, and then this is the answer to it, but you couldn't have guessed that because this piece of information was held from you. And I was thinking about that, and especially around True Detective, because True Detective had that going, and I tried to stay away from it, but I got like sucked into like all these fan theories.
And it was such a problem because I was watching the show and I wasn't having that instinct while I was watching the show because that's not what it is. You watch it and it's kind of just sort of like
I mean, it has a mysterious sort of feel to it, but it's definitely not
it's not mystery.
It's not mystery.
It wasn't
driven
lost.
thing.
It wasn't like
exactly. Whereas that was kind of one of the problems with Lost is they were kind of almost being too reactive to this kind of conversation.
They're
in
like
their fan
daring
base.
you to try and figure it out. I kind of feel like
they had
a
like
little
the
bit.
website be like, yeah, try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we
It's
don't
like,
know
polar bears,
either.
and I was like, Sorry.
Yeah, and it wasn't really there in True Detective, but people started to try and like put that in, and it was just crazy stuff. Where I remember like looking at it, I remember just like one in particular, which was there was like a painting in like the cult leader's like thing. And there's a painting in like this thing, and the painting shows up again as like a drawing in one of the characters.
That's
like
just an art
houses.
director doing their job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then so someone was like, this proves that his daughter must have been involved in the cult because of this. And then someone like on the subreddit was just like, well, or it's like, hey, I'm a production designer. We'll reuse art.
It's just cheaper to put the same painting
We'll just
up.
print out the painting and just use this because it's cool thing. And then the next response to that was like, no, the director would never have not let that detail slip by. It's like,
It
Yeah.
would.
yeah, they would actually.
All the time.
Yeah, all the
All the
time.
Yeah.
And
You know,
it's
there are
like-
only 4. We only printed 4 posters for season 1 of VJ Cherish. It's the same 4. That's why, if you look carefully, depending on the
always-
scene, they get more and more crumpled. Like, you can literally tell the order that the scene was shot based on how crumpled the
posters
poster
are.
is
No,
in
no,
the
no. That
background.
represents the decay of the school and the character.
Matt, you're telling me that
Freddie
as
would
a
never let
as
a
an
poster-
auteur director.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it is that the way I always describe it is it's like 50% of it was just sort of discovered, and the other 50% was more argued about than you can possibly imagine.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
intense.
Well, I mean, it's from the writing place, so it's like, oh, you think so carefully about crafting this very articulate message on something, and people are like, oh, this is just the writers being like, whatever, not caring. It's like, it's like,
I care.
but at the same time, there's the happy accident, and as a viewer, you can't really tell which is which.
Yeah.
And that's the law of semiotics. You just have to operate as this is the text of the thing.
Yeah.
And you just
And
go,
people were going down like 18 levels deep into it, and I tried to stay away from it, but then I realized and then when I played, I couldn't help but feel like it was my fault completely. But I still felt like a little bummed out that like some of the fun, crazy ideas that people had online wasn't in the show at all. And I was just like, no, that's my fault for bringing that into it. And I realized, so the only way you can really do anything that has a mystery component now is like the Netflix style everything at once. Because if it was like, if it all came out at once, then you can actually have a mystery that people would not solve in time, because rather than sit there and wait to solve it, they'll just watch the next episode.
You can do it. It's just hard. I mean, I would argue that there are book series that have the similar thing. People analyze and go nuts over books and they try to figure it out and stuff. You just can't be lazy about it. I mean, I'd even say something as simple as like The 100 has a pretty strong uncertainty factor. And it's not so much
I'm not
a
talking
mystery.
about uncertainty,
No,
though.
it's not so much a mystery, but there is an element where you could obsess over The 100 and try to figure out, like, are there other humans here? Like, what do they really mean by this? And they just don't give you enough information for you to have been able to guess it. Like, it's just you just have to be careful. Don't hide stuff in the background cleverly, because somebody will see it, freeze frame it, and then figure it out.
Well, I guess that's what I mean. That's what I mean, because it's like, I'm saying, like in Gravity Falls, they've been planting the seeds of it forever. Like they even have, and they have that almost purposeful thing. They do like a little coded message at the end of the credits for people to try and decode, and they have like
that's exactly.
drawings and stuff.
See, but that's inviting.
They were playing the game,
That's what I'm saying.
and they just weren't.
No, but I'm
they
saying
did-
I'm saying that if you have a show that plays that game and invites it, I feel like you can do it almost so much better now if you had it in a format that was all at once.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
all
from
at once
a creator standpoint, I mean, would you guys say you guys went through that with VGHS when you said that in season 3 someone was
No,
going to
because
die?
nothing makes sense in VJHS.
No,
It's
I
just like,
I mean, like you guys like threw that out there before season 3
that
came
was-
out.
yeah,
so.
because
Oh, wait. Did we talk about the kid who called it?
we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah, I heard about the kid who
called
just
it
like
hard.
figured it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he came on the road like they're talking about me, by the way. Like,
Oh, really?
he linked to it. Yeah, because I mean
man.
that's like just saying who's gonna die. We didn't lay any groundwork, like.
And
like,
it made it
hit-wise,
sound like,
groundwork
it would be like a juicy, like.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we knew everybody was gonna assume if we're calling it hours like somebody's gonna die,
Right.
that we were gonna kill like Jenny or Ted or Calhoun or somebody that people cared about, not freaking Freddy.
Oh.
And then and there was one kid. That was just one where we knew if we asked that question. But that's the thing, we wouldn't have asked that question if like we were establishing that Freddy actually had cancer and we were doing hints like
Right.
where he looks sickly one episode and he makes a reference, then everybody would, of course they would know it. You just have to be really careful. And if you're going to do those, you have to also set up red herrings.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Gravity. I haven't seen enough of it. Gravity Falls is supposedly a super freaking good show.
Yeah,
They're super smart. That's
definitely.
just an example that they didn't hide it well enough, or their puzzles weren't clever
Well,
enough
well,
for them to
but I'll put it this
not
way.
get it.
But
You know?
I'll put it this way. It's probably one of those things also where it's simultaneously a kid's show and not a show that kids watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, it's definitely well hidden if you're 12 and
Yeah,
13 and you're like, I'm working on the cereal box decoder to figure out the message. Whoa. But like, if you're a little older, then all of a sudden it's like, this is so obvious. It's like, well, come on, man. They're making the show for
Are you
like,
sure those
a
are 12 and
range.
13-year-olds who figured it out?
It could be. My God.
You just,
Future
you
assay.
just got 12 and 13-year-olds is really dumb right there.
I think
Like
you'd be shocked. I'll put it this way.
decodering.
I think you'd be shocked.
I was obsessed with like figuring out like
How
mysteries
smart do you
shows.
think you were at 12?
I don't know. As smart as you can be at 12. How smart can you be at
The
12?
limit of how smart you could possibly be.
Yeah.
I was always at the very limit of it.
Yeah.
I was redlining my intelligence constantly.
The
I didn't mean it
1%,
like that,
the
but yes, the
1%.
1%.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But no, let's put it this way. I can't figure out Minecraft now. 12 and 13-year-olds are playing Minecraft. Like, those 12 and 13-year-olds can definitely solve, like, decoder ring puzzles and, like, mysteries and
Well,
stuff.
Did you ever
Except-
get a no prize?
I know. Oh, from Marvel?
Yeah.
No, that was before our time.
God damn.
Have you
You're
ever
old.
heard of this book?
Oh.
I will
We've talked
say,
about it before,
I will
though.
say,
Silent,
have you read this
invisible
book?
tear.
And some
Oh, it's
people
visible.
had and some people had not. And it's called I think it's called the 11th. Hold on, one second.
Oh, yes. It's the.
What are you guys talking about?
There's like one book that the entire book was nothing but a single
Puzzle.
puzzle. It was with animals.
Yeah, the
and, like,
11th Hour by Graham Bass. This
Do you
is the
remember
cover
this
of it.
book?
Oh yeah, no, I
Do you
remember
remember
that.
this book?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? You know?
Yeah, we talked about this
No, I've
before.
never seen this book.
Oh, I
you
get
guys
it.
can
It's
explain
a-
it to me.
It's
So
just a giant puzzle.
So the whole book is like Horace is the elephant. He's having his birthday, and it goes through, and it's all these very, very elaborately painted, things. And it's like his birthday, and all the guests come, and then they all have fun, and it's like there's 3 dogs and 4 mice and 5 geese and stuff. It's like a children's book.
Okay.
But in the end, they come back and like, oh no, someone's eaten his birthday feast.
Oh, I thought you were
Who
gonna say
could have done
something
it?
else.
Who did it?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then he made sandwiches, and they're all good. But then the end of the book's just like, can you figure out who fucking did it?
And it's so hard.
And it's like,
Dude.
and
They
they
swear.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you try to do it?
well, so okay,
Go
so
the
they're,
fuck
like,
to
so, they're like,
sleep.
so they're like, can you figure out who did it? And it's like, as a kid, just like, it's like, and then basically he's like, there's been clues hidden in every page that reveals
Oh
the
my
answer.
gosh.
And I remember when I was a kid being like, I'm gonna solve this. And by the way,
it's a harder mystery than Jinx.
It's so hard.
Well,
Wait,
that's
can we
not
get a copy of this? Like,
So
at some
here's
point,
what
I
happened.
want to figure it out. Don't
when I was a
spoil it.
kid, I couldn't figure it out. I was just
Okay.
like, because there were like crazy like substitution ciphers and like all kinds of stuff that I
I
was
had
just
that book for like 4 years. I never got close.
completely ill-equipped. So then in my adult life, like a couple months ago, I was like, you know what? I remember that book. I'm like, I never fucking solved it. I don't know who ate his Horace's birthday feast. I should find out. So I got on Amazon,
Okay.
and of course they were selling it, so I bought it. And I was like, I'm gonna sit down and do this. Like on Sunday, I was like,
Oh my
I'm gonna do
gosh.
this. Still couldn't do it.
Are you for
It was
real?
so hard.
Are
It's
you
so
for
hard.
real?
And I
That
was
is
like,
so not what I
It's
thought
so
you were
hard.
going to
I
say.
was
It's
so-
so hard. Try it.
I kind of want to try it.
Yeah, try it.
bring it in.
Don't
I'll
ruin
bring
it,
I'm not
Freddie.
gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna ruin it. But I remember being like, and I'm not.
No,
I
but when
was
you
like,
look at the solution, you're like, I'll put it this way. Do you
you
think either of them
spoil
will
it?
solve it?
Did you
I
spoil
think
it
you'll
for
solve
yourself?
it.
How did you guys
Well,
solve
Yeah,
it?
I
here's
tried
what
to solve it
happened.
also.
Here's what happened.
And I
I
couldn't do it.
really
So okay, so
want
here's what happens, right? Because the new one, it has like an answer key. Like the
Okay.
paperback version had an answer key.
Okay.
So at a certain point, I was just like, fuck that. God damn. And I flipped to the back.
Okay.
And I start looking at the answers. And like there are examples of stuff where it's like, I've hidden it here. And I go back and I was like, I never would have gotten that. I was like, no, I wouldn't have gotten that now, and I would have gotten that as a kid. And then it's like, there's just stuff where it's just like hard.
I wonder if we could set up can you set up a room where everyone has to like get
Solve a
like
puzzle, and then they have
Yeah.
to like break out of it in order
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, it's
It's
called,
called puzzle room.
it's called
No.
an escape room.
no, but like it's just that book.
No, like turn off the internet. Yeah.
Oh, the 11th hour.
No,
version
turn off
of
the
it.
internet. Turn off the internet. Put we'll do like 5 on 5 in the office. We'll split
Yeah.
everybody up in 2
you
teams.
should set up
And there
cameras
should
and
be a
do
this
it.
week at.
Oh,
and we should
there
see
should
if
be-
anything can solve the 11th hour.
Yeah.
This should be. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
This should. Oh, by the way. Oh, that's
I don't
really
wanna
good.
do
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
This is gonna be.
I yeah.
This will be our new job interview. This is about coming back.
Oh,
Here, give me
we've
your phone.
talked about
No,
doing
that's easy
this
because
stuff.
you just said it. People are gonna look up the
We'll
answer.
come with something else.
No,
I'm
no,
saying-
there's a job interview. That's a terrible. let's do it here and see who.
Okay,
let's see
we've
who's the
talked-
smartest in the
We've talked
company.
No
about
one-
having an escape room in the job interview.
Oh yeah, that I would
Yeah.
do.
How
Escape
are
room in the job interview.
We gotta enforce that people don't look this up before we
No,
go
no,
in
no.
there.
One's gonna say anything.
Only we know it.
What's
It's
gonna
up to
happen
you
is
two.
this.
Don't
say
cheat.
anything.
Okay.
The
We
moment
can't be part of it. We're judges.
The
We already
moment
know
we
it.
finish,
Oh, look at
I'm gonna go on Amazon. I'm gonna buy 5 copies of this book
Okay.
for $3 because Amazon's amazing.
Okay.
It's a marvel of modern
It'll be here
commerce.
tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, Amazon fresh now.
It's already here.
Bang!
Just
At my
because-
house, and we're gonna bring it in tomorrow.
Yep.
You want to do this tomorrow?
Do it.
The 11th hour test.
Yeah.
Oh, because we're having a pizza party at our new place.
Yep.
We are
And then-
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Lots of rooms to lock people
Oh
in.
man.
And then be like, oh, hey, what's
Enjoy
in
the
this
pizza.
room?
You can't leave till you solve this puzzle.
It
Yeah.
was hard.
I want to know. I want to give it a shot.
And then also in the answer key was great because one puzzle he was like, even he was just like, yeah, this one's a little hard. I'm like, you son of a. I'm like, this is a children's book.
Wow.
No kids
And this is
solve
like
it.
a
The
noted
key
book
is
now.
It was
to
good, though.
teach people to have that unattainable thing.
It is because
And in
the original
striving
version.
is how you do
Well,
your
but here's
best.
the
The
funny
original
thing.
version didn't have an answer key, so that's why it was beautiful
Well, no, here's
because
what
it was no kid will solve it.
Exactly. Well, here's what you
How
had
like
to
life.
mail in to Scholastic to get
Yeah.
the answer key, and it was just like the teacher wasn't doing that. Like that's an inconceivable thing for a kid.
Yeah,
like
kids-
what?
kids
Have to
don't do
mail a
mail.
self-addressed stamped
Yeah.
envelope to Scholastic
Kids don't do
Corporation?
mail.
If you can't
No.
figure out the
Kids
puzzle,
say
you're
that
gonna
all
figure
the
out how to
time.
mail a letter.
Yeah. No, you're done.
But for at school, not for like sick decoder rings. Like in the context of
kids
first
mail
grade.
all the time.
Yeah,
question.
even I mail some stuff.
I
for
got
our
it. This
cereal.
might be the
It might be a
age
generation
Yeah.
thing. Might be a generation.
These puzzles are not like those, like, there's no puzzle that's like the things that would be on the ceiling of your orthodontist's, like, wall, would it?
like
the one where you-
highlights or
yeah, the
anything.
one where you wouldn't have to, like, fuck your eyes up to
Oh,
see it.
magic
Magic
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
Can
No,
you do
those are
magic
puzzles.
eyes? Can you do magic eyes?
Yeah.
I can, but I don't like mine. Mine actually, whenever I do it, I have to cross my eyes, and people see it one way. I see it like
The
Inverse.
negative
Yeah.
space.
Ah, you're doing a different type of eye cross then.
Yeah.
You're doing a
Yeah.
parallel eye cross versus a cross eye cross.
What? How did,
Indeed.
show me the
There's
difference.
2 ways. So one is you can take 2 images and cross your eyes so that this one's going to this eye and the right one's going to the other eye. The other one is you can like infinity focus your eyes.
everybody
so far.
does the infinite.
Isn't that how you do 3D when you do side-by-side images in
Yeah,
3D?
yeah, yeah.
As infinity focus?
There's 2 ways. One is a cross and then the refocusing or an infinity focus. I do both competently. It's how much control I have over my eyes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, guys.
Well, can you do this, Freddie?
What's this?
Like in
Is
opposite
this
direction.
Can you?
Wait, what's
I
this?
am doing it.
are you doing?
I'm doing
She's
it.
avoiding the
Yeah.
microphone.
I'm doing
microphone.
it.
Is it
It's
clockwise?
moving.
Different ways.
It's
Yeah.
you're moving your hands
Like
in
this?
two
You mean
different.
like a pro?
No,
Like this?
you got to go at the same time. You're doing
Yeah.
it different times.
Like this?
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're.
Yeah.
I think Freddie's.
I'm doing
well,
this.
You
Here we
gotta.
go.
Rub your stomach, pat your head.
Look at this. Look at this pro
See,
action.
I'm doing it.
Rub your stomach, pat your head.
Yeah.
That was
We're
not
gonna-
as hard
we
as
can all do it.
kids thought.
So
Wait,
now I'm
can
start
you
drunk.
even do it?
Wow.
The Stone Cold Sober Podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, wait, hold on real quick. What are stupid body tricks did you...
That's all I.
Can
I
you roll
can,
your tongue? That's a genetic thing, you know?
No, I can't. Like any other Asian, I can twirl pencils, but that's about it.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be able to do it where you grab your foot and you like jump back and forth and hop through your foot. But
Yeah,
that
that's a
was-
B-boy
that's-
move.
That's when I well
That sounds gross.
Like I used to, like when I was
Yeah,
younger.
I
could
can't
break
visualize
dance.
it
Yeah.
actually.
It's
Yeah.
a
Well,
straight up
So you
breakdancing
do
move.
the thing where you hold the foot and you just jump with your legs through the other
okay.
foot, and then you
Oh.
can jump backwards and go back.
That
and
sounds
back.
like
I
you're
can't
just,
do that anymore.
It's an accident waiting
because
to
I'm
happen.
out of
Because you
shape
just
and
blow your
old.
knees out.
Yeah, it would just be
You're not old, Mike.
Try it outside. Yeah, you show me outside.
oldest person here.
Yes, true.
See, you
Have
remember
I talked about that much? Like
how
my
you're
entire life, I have been
surrounded
the
by...
youngest
yeah.
in all my situations. Like,
Ah.
like I can't describe it. Just always, I was always hanging out with my older brother and his
Yeah.
friends. Like the neighborhood kids were older. Like even like all the places I've worked, I was always kind of the youngest, and everybody like kind of moved up
Yeah.
together. But I was always, and now I'm literally the oldest person at this company.
How old are you?
I am turning 33 soon. So
And how old is Des?
we're the same. Yeah. But
Oh,
it's
you're
just,
Oh, but you're slightly older than him?
yeah, and so it's like it's just this weird thing
Whoa,
that I've just
yeah.
never been in the situation, and it's strange. Like I'll be like referencing something in the writers' room, and like Ashley and Anthony are like,
Sorry, what?
Nothing. and
You're
it's like
so
no,
much older than us.
We're-
Wow.
No, but
we're
it's
too
weird.
new.
It's like even
No,
the
4
few,
years is a big difference. That is
it-
a whole high school.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's,
and it's such, and even because like I was so aspirational and looking up to my brother's generation,
yeah.
so it was like. It was this whole different thing, and it's just like even they will be like, "Oh, was that 80s or 90s?" I'm like, "That was 1991."
How dare you?
Yeah, and it's just weird because I've never done that in my entire life.
How much older is your brother?
He's 5 years older,
Okay, so yeah, that's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
big
So
leap.
those are
Yeah, that's a big
and even my parents, like I was very interested
Both
in
of
their
them older
interests.
than you. Crazy.
It's weird, but even they were like older because my parents are like turning 70 soon, so
Yeah.
it's like it was just this very strange thing, and
Yeah.
it just
you're,
like
you're the old one.
Have you ever
it's
thought about
just-
like
I've never felt like that before, so it's strange.
what age you actually are?
should get your own
like,
parking spot.
Like,
Yo,
Yo,
emotionally.
like, what's your soul
Yeah,
age?
what's your
You know what I'm
soul
saying?
age?
Well,
Yeah.
well, what's interesting is like I finally got like when I was a little kid, everybody used to joke because like I would act like a 33-year-old when I was 5.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I would be like, why aren't people taking me seriously?
Yeah.
I'm a little child with things to say. I mean, it was ridiculous, but
Yeah.
like now I'm finally getting to that age, and I just feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like,
so
oh,
33.
this feels
so
right.
you've always been
Oh no! So his
33.
age is like he's like 78. He's so old.
No,
that he's
I'll
back
just,
to being
I'll
like I
just-
don't care what
I'll
people
just
think
stay
anymore.
that age, and so
That's,
when I
that's
get
his
older,
soul age. Yeah,
I'm very
Stays that
interesting
age.
to
So
I'm
you're
very
perennial
interested to see what
33.
happens after.
What about you guys?
I did that.
I'm like 12. Like
That's
I'm,
adorable.
I'm a
14.
child.
14. No,
Yeah.
I can drive. Nah, yeah, because I
Driving doesn't change your soul age.
No, but I'm saying,
you're
but-
like
but
14,
being-
but now I can
his-
drive.
his soul age
but
could
being,
drive.
But being super excited to like drive somewhere
Yeah.
is definitely something that you feel when you are real life 15. But
Yeah.
I still feel that way even though I'm real life 29. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's like 15 years old.
I think my soul age is like a solid 47.
47.
You just kind of you're like I'm pretty tired
Yeah. Oh,
all
always.
the time.
All the time. It's from logging all these kids around.
Well,
Logging's not a word.
Logging kids. I chopped them at their
that
knees.
is murder.
Just onto the
Could you
children.
say carrying them around like logs, not murdering them like
Rather
logs?
lugging.
Lugging is the word.
Lugging.
Thank
There
you.
you go. There you
Lugging.
go.
Inventing words.
Well,
Lugging
that-
children.
Murderous end note.
Matt, why does it always be murder with you, man?
Murder
I
them.
don't
No
know.
one said anything about murder.
Nobody said nothing about murder. Now Matt's just coming in here.
Man, if a
nice,
murder happens here, I'm gonna be the first one.
like, first one
The
down.
first one the cops are
The
coming
first
to.
one to murder.
Like,
Murder
happens
Man,
there.
when murder happens here, it's definitely gonna be me.
But murder happens to be the first guy to murder someone. It's just gonna be so horrible. I'm gonna have to murder someone first. Like, what are you talking about,
And the
Matt?
person who saw it.
Speaking of which, we need to play that game, which we should record.
Oh yeah, we should absolutely do that.
Yeah,
What?
I'm very
it's a murder
excited.
game.
Yeah.
What's it
murder
called,
game?
Matt?
Did we talk about? I will say really quick if you guys want to go.
We should
play.
do the new place
I
tomorrow.
learned it from Shut Up.
Tomorrow in the new place.
Oh yeah, I learned it from Shut Up and Sit Down. It was an awesome podcast. I don't know why I'm just promoting them because they're great and they review board games and they're fun. Shut Up and Sit Down, but they do. They were talking about games, and it's essentially a game where one person's the detective, one person's the murderer, everybody else is just victims, and you
just like in real life.
and you find a big empty space. Essentially, you just need a space where you can scream.
Lots of rooms too.
You need to be able to scream there's a dead body without making people around you freak out.
Right.
So like our new office would be great because there's tons of rooms and you all have to
And
spread out.
doors all over the place.
You have to spread out and then you start playing and the murderer comes up and if he puts his arms around your neck, you die and you have
And
to
you
fall
just fall
down
to
on
the
the floor
ground.
and pretend to be a dead body.
Okay.
And then if you see a dead body, you go, I found a dead body. And then people come up and be like, they all look around, they all start accusing each other, and then the murderer may go elsewhere and then kill somebody. And if the detective says like it's you, then they win. If they kill the detective, they win. Right? But what happens is the way they described it is just this guy's describing this moment, and I was like, that sounds pretty fun. And he's like, it was pretty fun. And then one time I opened a door and there's 7 of my friends just lying.
Because you can
down.
move the bodies. Too.
Yeah, you can move the body. There's just
Wait,
7.
do the bodies have to help you if you move them?
You can play different ways. They say usually the way they play is like the guy's like
I'm
just
taking
move.
you now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Otherwise,
like,
you could
yeah.
do dragging, but maybe you don't want to drag people,
Right,
or
right.
not. I would say we should just drag people.
What?
But
I'm gonna wear pants tomorrow.
yeah. but they're like, but yeah, he's like, there's 7 of my friends face down, like just dead. I was like, I found a dead, and then I turned. There's another guy's like, yo, did he find a dead body? And he was walking. He was like, you're the killer. You're the killer because he's like, I'm trapped in this
He's like, is it
room.
you?
I'm
Is it
trapped in
you?
this room, and there's 7 people dead to the right of me.
Someone's
and there's one guy
coming
Wow,
towards
that
me.
guy was really good.
Yeah, and it sounds intense. It's like that sounds like a
that
ton
sounds
of fun.
stressful if you're the murderer, honestly.
Because we could
Yeah.
try a variation where they're.
Oh, I would love to be the murderer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, like
so much fun.
a part
You're sounding a
of
little bit like
me-
Matt here.
yeah. I think we're gonna do.
Well, no, it's just that's why I always talk about games. Is like I'm very nervous about ever doing like wrong things in real
Yeah.
life. Like I can't handle it. But in games, it's like, oh, now I get to be a sociopath. That's why I love games.
Yeah.
GTA 5,
Like
number
bluffing
1 game.
games
Oh,
and
I
lying
see.
games.
Well, I think
So
what we're gonna do is we're gonna get like either shoeboxers or something because they say there needs to be one person that decides the rules, but it doesn't sound fun. So we're gonna do shoeboxes. The murderer will have like a fake knife or something, but the detective will have a Nerf gun with a single dart, and then he shoots the.
Oh, that's
how
great.
I do it.
But then you know it's the detective.
No, because everybody else will have.
He has to hide it.
Oh,
yeah.
everybody has a shoebox.
Or the detective has a badge and he keeps it in his pocket, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody else just gets something saying,
I like the
"You're
badge.
nothing.
Yeah,
You're
good,
nothing.
good effing
Good luck.
luck.
So you get your shoebox, you all run, you open it, and you go, and you see what you are, and you put down the box, and then you play, and you don't need somebody to sit out of the game.
That seems stressful. That I keep saying that,
And
but
so,
it's like,
so the thing is, here's what we do need for that, by the way, and I'll get this in place for it tomorrow. We need a bunch of phone mounts, so that because we don't have tons of GoPros, but we should have everyone record their POV from their phone.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way, and then we have at least probably a camera person or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
I got some ideas. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll wear GoPro.
Maybe we'll just
Alright.
play it first and then film it after we see it works.
Okay. All right.
so the knife is just gonna be like touching you with the knife.
No, it's, I think we'll do detective
it's just
badge.
a symbol. It's just a
Yeah,
symbol.
yeah.
Okay. I already know what I'm
I
gonna do. If I'm a
this.
victim.
I like the choking.
Nah,
if I'm
this
a
is fun.
victim, I already know what I'm gonna
Knives
do.
are more than a symbol. No,
All right.
I just want to say
What are you gonna do as a victim?
If I was a victim, I'm just gonna scale the wall so you can't get their hands around my neck.
What?
If I'm
Scale?
just like,
Are you Spider-Man?
What do you mean?
I'm just gonna climb into the wall.
If you're against the wall, I can still put my hand around your
Not
neck.
if I'm like just scooting against the wall, maybe.
No, it
not.
won't be a surprise. I'll just walk up to you. What are you gonna do?
I don't run. I
It
don't
sounds like I'm
know.
like, what are you gonna do when I murder you? You can't get away.
What are you gonna do, Cherish? What are you gonna do?
I'll
You're
do- I
you're
got
not
it.
breaking the game, and somebody's be like, because if I was a
Right.
victim, I'd be like, why are you scooting against the walls? You're acting weird.
You clearly, so you, if you're the murderer, you
here's
have
the
to
problem,
get
though.
someone
But
alone.
back up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Exactly. But hold
Exactly.
on.
Okay.
What if the murderer also scoots around the walls? Then what?
They're like, good idea. And they're scooting around the walls, and you're like, hey, I trust
Well,
this guy.
I mean,
He's
I
scooting
trust
around
this
the
guy.
walls,
He's
too.
clearly not a murderer.
Well, I just told you this plan because now I'll come up with another one tomorrow. I guess.
Good tactic. Good tactic.
Dang it.
No, that's gonna be our tactic as the murderer, because then she'd be scooting and be like, hey, she can't be the murderer. She told me she'd scoot around the walls
afraid.
if she was the
Exactly.
victim.
So now you don't know what
Hey,
I'm gonna
Cherish,
do.
I can trust you, and she kills me.
Yep. I'm
Yep.
just scooting, I'm trying to protect myself. we gotta look out for each other against this wall.
I would love for the opportunity to if just I'm with 2 other people and I'm the murderer and somehow just both their backs are just to do the quick double
Yeah.
murder.
Mike, you need to slow your damn roll. Okay.
That's the fun
You're
part.
getting
of
too
the
excited.
game.
We haven't done this yet. Anyway, we'll play it tomorrow. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Benji, of course, podcast producer. Alex Reeves, mix master, Point Blue Studios. Anyway, another Facerocker podcast in the can. This one was about murder, apparently.
Engagement
marriage,
stories.
murder and marriage and engagements.
There you go. All right. Well,
Thank you,
we'll
thank
see
you.
everybody
Hitchcock
next
movie.
week.